Welcome to Bite-Sized Brands, where brands are refined, elevated, and transformed into something unforgettable. This podcast is your space to learn how to build a brand that reflects your vision, create emotional connection with your audience, position yourself as premium in your industry. With short, powerful episodes and inspiring guest features, you will gain the clarity and confidence to step into your next level. And I'm your host, Kusha Kalra, founder of the Bespoke Designs. Today, we have an amazing guest whose name is Melissa Chapman, and we will be talking with her about a very dear topic to me, which is why smart women stay stuck, the subconscious patterns running your life. So, Melissa, first of all, thank you so much for taking time out to join us here today. Before we dive into questions, why don't you share a little bit more about yourself for our audience, please?
Yes. Hi, Kusha. So great to be here. So I'm what I like to call a professional pattern breaker. So I help women break longstanding patterns that are keeping them living for approval, instead of living in alignment with what they desire. And once those patterns are broken, this internal resistance that they've been feeling toward reaching their personal or professional goals drops, and it makes reaching their desires and goals so much easier to receive. So success feels inevitable and automatic. And I use tools like hypnotherapy and neuro-linguistic programming and other modalities that help you work with your subconscious to help make small shifts in your subconscious mind. And those small shifts allow the change that you desire to have. They allow it to feel almost automatic. And so it's really fun for me to work with women who have these long-standing patterns of people pleasing or overanalyzing or shrinking themselves or feeling like they need to constantly prove themselves, to watch these patterns unravel in real time without having to force anything to happen.
That's beautiful. It's the need of the hour, if I can say that there are so many women out there who are wanting to be successful, who are successful, but somehow they are stuck in that pattern. So I want to jump in straight away into the questions that I have here for you. So since you are working with women who are incredibly capable, purpose-driven, ambitious, but somewhere or the other, they might feel stuck or they might feel as if they're not good enough. Why do you think successful women experience this?
Well, there's so many reasons why women feel this way. You know, we can look at our upbringing, our conditioning, the types of roles that women have traditionally played. But for me, the real reason comes down to our brain and how it works. Because of course, like conditioning and the way that we've been taught to behave is part of a big reason why women do feel stuck. But it's what happens in the brain that is causing that feeling of not being able to move past it. So we have access to two distinct parts of our mind. And if you think of an iceberg, at the very tip of the iceberg is our conscious mind. That's about 5% of our mind. And the conscious mind is responsible for analyzing, for using logic, for reasoning. It's what you use when you make a decision. It's what you access when you need your willpower or discipline to say, all right, I'm going to get up this morning. I'm going to brush my teeth. I'm going to take a shower. I'm going to go into work, or I'm going to open up my laptop and I'm going to start my day with my business. We're really phenomenal at using this part of our brain because that's what we've been taught to access. Underneath that water, the rest of that iceberg is the remaining 95%, which is our subconscious mind. And so much is stored in our subconscious mind. All of the automatic processes and learned behaviors that you don't think about, ranging from breathing, your heartbeat, moving your body parts so that you can walk, so you can move your arms, like all of that is happening automatically. It's what keeps you alive while you're sleeping. But it's also where you store a lot of your operating system, I want to say. So between the ages of 0 to 8, you are just absorbing everything that you're learning and you're seeing and that adults are telling you straight into your subconscious. This is where your identity lives. So if you had programs stored in you, for example, that resulted in you feeling like, well, I'm not worthy of attention from this parent, or there's something wrong with me if I cry. If you start storing beliefs about yourself like that in your subconscious, they carry into the rest of your life unless you're able to reprogram them. So say, for example, you've built a business that you're incredibly good at. Your clients, customers, patients, they get amazing results. And deep down, your prices should be higher. So you decide it's time to raise your prices. But then when you start talking with a potential client, they ask for your pricing and you feel yourself being pulled toward, let me just give you a discount, or, I'm going to make an exception here. And afterwards you think, why did I do that? I told myself this time I was going to charge X amount, and I know the value of what I offer is worth more. So if we look at like your conscious brain might be having thoughts like, well, I'm just a nice person. I can't bear to charge people more than what they really need to pay, or like, maybe I'm not confident enough to raise my prices. But there's always something else behind those reasons or those excuses. There's some kind of subconscious protective mechanism. So perhaps you grew up in a home where money was tight, and you heard things like, we can't afford that. Money grows on trees. Maybe earning more money felt selfish, or having money meant that people judged you. So your conscious mind has this goal of, I want to charge more. I want to build wealth. I want to grow my business. But your subconscious is wondering, if I make more money, am I still lovable? Right? And it's completely illogical. And it's so interesting that that's how the subconscious works, because logic doesn't reach the subconscious. So if making more money feels unfamiliar or threatening to your identity, your subconscious will always find ways to bring you back to what's familiar. And so that would be, okay, I'm going to discount my services, not because you're bad at business and not because you aren't confident in what you do, but your subconscious is keeping you safe and inside that version of life that it believes is the most safe for you. So the real work is helping your subconscious feel safe so that you can hit your goals.
Absolutely. I think I've seen a lot of women do this and think they need to price themselves higher and then go around giving discount and then regretting immediately. And you've said it so correct that maybe there is some kind of pattern in our upbringing. That's something which we've seen in our families. It kind of sets that belief in our mind that we cannot be charging, or we're not good enough to be charging that high. Or maybe even at times where we feel that how can we charge higher to them because like they're on a budget. So when you hear something like that, you automatically discount. So you kind of want to bring your value down at the expense of the other person. I also feel that there is this biggest misconception, which is that if we understand a problem, we are immediately in that mode of fixing it. You know what I'm saying? So we want to just fix it. So why can't we just be like staying aware about the problem and what actually creates that lasting change? So how can we do that with our patterns?
Yeah, exactly. So most of the time, what we're doing when we have what we feel like is a problem is we'll take the time to get aware of, okay, what is the problem? Why is it happening? And sometimes understanding the problem and where it comes from does actually propel you and fix the issue. But that's because I believe it's because your subconscious was on board. Okay. Let's say, for example, you realize that you're spending a lot of time checking emails, and you get into your busy work, a notification comes through, it distracts you from completing the task that you need to complete because you feel so compelled to see what it is. And then you read a book on productivity and you read about, how task switching frequently really reduces your focus and therefore you're less productive. And so then this person decides, okay, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm turning off notifications. I'm building in set times when I'm going to look at my email, and it works. They have no issue keeping to this new habit. Okay. If your subconscious doesn't see that old behavior as necessary for your safety, simply understanding the problem and knowing why you're doing it is enough to make the change. But if you've been aware of a problem or a pattern for months or years, and you keep finding yourself doing the same thing despite knowing better, despite wanting to do better, that's usually a clue that you're not dealing with a knowledge problem. You're dealing with a pattern that lives in your subconscious. Because if awareness was enough, you would have changed it by now. So let's say another person has the same habit of feeling super compelled to check email all the time, and they try the same strategy as this other person, but it's so uncomfortable for them to stick to this new plan. And instead of feeling relieved by a new level of focus or excited about how much more productive they're going to be, they're just really distracted by what they could be missing out on by not checking their email. So something keeps pulling them back to checking things, and they're trying to use self-discipline, self-monitoring, willpower, all the conscious strategies, but it isn't working. And this person is like, well, I'm probably just a control freak, because I noticed that in my life in general, I really like to control things. I want to make sure that I know what's going on at all times. And she might even talk to a therapist who says, oh yeah, let's look at your past. Let's dissect your upbringing, right? You were raised in a home where everything was chaotic. Home was messy, people in and out. Everything done at the last second. Your parents were unreliable. So of course you feel safer when controlling things. Okay. So now you have this information, but again, understanding that pattern doesn't change the pattern itself, because they just keep trying to use the conscious mind to stop controlling things. So meanwhile, in her subconscious, she's got this survival strategy. It might be stuck in a belief like, if I'm not in control, something bad will happen, or other people aren't reliable, or if I let go, everything will fall apart. So if she's got this in her operating system, how can she possibly make the change and shift that pattern if her subconscious, that is designed to keep her safe and protect her at all costs, believes that it is unsafe if she's not controlling things at all times? It's very difficult to make a change in behavior. So lasting change happens when your subconscious is on board. When you take your conscious mind and the goal that you have and the change that you want to make, and you get your subconscious mind on board, that is when change happens quicker and it feels easy.
I love that. I love the way you put it. And I quite agree with you on this, because I think I've seen that happen even in my own life. I've seen that happen even with a lot of other women entrepreneurs that I work with. And I believe that what is happening is that it's kind of wired within us. And so if you're not ready to change that, you will tend to continue in that same pattern. So just like how you mentioned, it brings me to the next question, which is understanding what are those common subconscious patterns that you see showing up, whether it is in relationships or business and personal growth, that women often don't realize that they keep repeating. So have you seen certain patterns when you work with clients?
Oh yeah, absolutely. People pleasing is a big one. There's a lot of people, a lot of women specifically, that want to say no to things, and they have a fear of being able to do that. They don't realize that that's what it is, but they feel this automatic pull to say, yes, I'm going to go to that family member's birthday party who I don't really like all that much, and I'm going to offer to bring desserts for everyone, because it's just easier to say yes than to explain why they don't want to be there. A lot of those people that have these people pleasing tendencies, they tend to think like, I'm just really nice. I'm a kind person. I like helping other people. And maybe they do, but if they're feeling resentful about saying yes and giving so much and noticing that nobody's giving to them the same amount that they're giving to others, then it's not a nice problem. It's a protective mechanism in your subconscious, something like maybe a belief that people won't like me if I say no, or I'll lose people if I say no. This is about what your subconscious thinks might happen if you don't say yes. And a lot of the patterns that I see come down to core wounds of I'm not deserving, or I'm not worthy, or I'm not lovable. Another pattern that I see in women entrepreneurs is spending so much time working on the back end of their business. They've invested all this time and money into creating a website, getting their social media together, getting brand photos done, working on a launch strategy, creating lead magnets, taking course after course in order to feel prepared and good. And it feels super productive, but nothing that she did actually generated a lead or started a conversation or made an offer. And from the outside, if you're looking at it from the conscious perspective, oh my gosh, this person is procrastinating. But it's not procrastination. It's their subconscious protecting them, because somewhere along the way, their subconscious learned that maybe being seen or being visible in a wider audience just isn't safe. Maybe she was criticized when she spoke up as a child. Maybe she learned that making mistakes is embarrassing, or it led to rejection. Maybe she believed that she had to get everything perfect before it was acceptable. So now every time she has the opportunity to do things that will grow her business, like posting the video, pitching the podcast, reaching out to a referral partner, her subconscious is saying, no, let's just stay busy, because we don't want to risk being seen. The risk is too much. And so instead of asking, why do I keep doing this? The question is, what does my subconscious believe will happen if I stop preparing and working on the back end of my business and finally let myself be seen? And when you work with that and on that level, that's where you're going to see the pattern drop and the resistance drop. And it's going to feel so much easier to be visible.
My God, this is like boom. It's so powerful, because I see that happening with so many of my clients. They just don't want to show the real person. They will come with the struggles of, oh, I can't create content. I don't know how to go live on a camera. And why don't you help me with all of this? And they're like, who's going to even listen to my story? Why would somebody be interested to know about my gifts and my services? So and that is so true. These are those subconscious patterns within which they keep circling themselves again and again. I feel if they're not aware, they can't make that change. So most of them, I feel they're not even aware about it. And that's where I feel your work comes into picture, and it's so much more important for them to know about it. And I think when I say about your work, it's all related to hypnosis, which somehow can sound mysterious or at times even intimidating to some people. So can you sort of just demystify hypnosis and explain what it actually is and what it is not? Because there tends to be like a little mystery around it as well.
Right. Yeah. So hypnosis is one of the techniques that I use. There's a number of other techniques that I use, but hypnosis is the one that works with the subconscious that most people have heard of. And it's gotten kind of a bad rap thanks to media over the years. But I'll tell you what it isn't. Hypnosis is not mind control. It is not you losing control in any way. You're not being made to do anything. It's not going to be like any stage show that you've seen. It's simply a relaxed state that you get into, you allow yourself to get into. You're in control. You're the one closing your eyes. You listen to some beautiful guided imagery that I deliver to you, and then you fall into a relaxed state, which is why we say all hypnosis is self-hypnosis, because again, I'm not making you do anything. But if you listen to the guided imagery that I offer you and you allow yourself to relax, your brain waves start to slow down. They slow down to alpha waves and then theta waves. For myself, when I am listening to a hypnosis or somebody is leading me through hypnosis, it feels like I'm in that in-between state where I'm about to fall asleep. But the goal is not to fall asleep. Okay. So if you've ever done guided meditation or yoga nidra, it's a very similar state to that. Now, while you are relaxed and your brain waves have slowed down, there's this filter that lives between your conscious mind and your subconscious mind. And that filter releases. It comes down and it allows me to deliver suggestions to your subconscious mind that you ask me to deliver to it. So before we get into a hypnosis, I'm going to ask you, we're going to together create a really clear picture of what it is that you desire. So if you tell me, Melissa, I really want 5 clients right now, but you're struggling to speak about the work you do, what we're going to do is create a really vivid picture of that change or that result that you desire. We're going to get down to the very nitty gritty of what you're going to see when you go to talk about your work. You're going to see yourself speaking up on reels or in videos or on podcasts, and you're going to be like super confident and excited about what you're sharing. You're going to see the comments come in on your post saying, you know, that really resonated with me, or how can I work with you? You're going to hear people come to you saying, I want to book an appointment. You're going to see the appointments start booking in. You're going to see the money deposited into your checking account. You're going to feel proud of what you're doing. You're going to feel excited. We're going to just create this super vivid picture that resonates with you. And then I deliver it to your subconscious while you're in this relaxed state. Now, your subconscious doesn't know between real and imagined. So it will take those suggestions on as if it's happening in real time. And because believes this is happening in real time, you start to behave as the version of you who does all the things and sees all the things and feels all the things and thinks all the things and hears all the things that somebody who has 5 clients would be experiencing.
Right.
And then I always say, if there is any fear about allowing yourself to get into this relaxed state, just know that your subconscious has a protective mechanism. Okay. Remember, its number one job is to keep you safe. So it will not allow you to take on any suggestions that don't align with your values. But that's why it's so key with the work that I do. I get your words. I'm not going to tell you my words. I want to deliver suggestions to you that resonate with you.
Awesome. I think if anybody was having any kind of myths or inhibitions around hypnosis, this should clear it for them. And you said it so right. It sounds very simple. It sounds very easy. And it sounds something which, just like how you mentioned, you can do it all by yourself without any external support as well. So I think that's amazing. We're almost coming at the end of the interview. So I want to ask you this, Melissa, that for women who are navigating challenges like chronic illness or burnout, or maybe they're just simply feeling exhausted from trying so hard, what would you want them to remember about moving forward and creating change?
First of all, you are not alone. It may seem like everyone out there, especially if you're on social media and you have an online business, it may seem like everyone out there is functioning just fine. And you may believe that you're the only one experiencing this, but most of the time we don't know what other people are experiencing because we're not walking around wearing a t-shirt that says what we're experiencing. Okay. So just remember, you're not alone in this. Secondly, if you are desiring to make a change, to get unstuck, if you are feeling exhausted from trying so hard, this is big key. Know that nothing has gone wrong. It's just simply you have a protective mechanism in your subconscious that is keeping you from receiving the change or the goal that you desire. And that protective mechanism is working really hard. Okay. That's why it feels like all this resistance to get what you desire. So extend yourself some love and compassion. Recognize, okay, I'm doing a great job of protecting myself. Then find someone who can help you make changes in ways that aren't just using your conscious mind. Okay. So don't go for the next strategy. Don't go talking the problem over and over again. Don't try forcing yourself to change your thoughts with affirmations. Find somebody that can work with your subconscious and there's so many different modalities out there, but use something different than just the conscious mind, because change does not have to feel hard. It doesn't have to be slow. It doesn't have to take constant self-discipline. All right. When your subconscious is on board, things shift quickly and with less effort, and change feels really natural.
Wow. Wow. I think that's amazing. And it kind of ties in with what we started. Remember that the subconsciousness lies in the iceberg. That's not the tip. It's the entire foundation that we're built on.
Yeah.
So I feel that that's exactly what will happen, that when you make that change and the subconscious does it so instantly that it will make that overall change without even you realizing it for once. And then by the time you become aware, that change would have already happened seamlessly. Maybe you'll just be seeing the benefits or the results of it because it's something which happened on the inside in the subconscious. So you see the result or the outcome in the conscious level, right? But the actual change is happening internally on its own, and you don't even realize it when and how it takes place. You only see it when it's the actual visible outcome that comes in front of you, isn't it?
Exactly. That's the coolest part is in myself. I've seen so many changes in myself, in particular with circumstances that I used to feel I would spiral into shame. And I've noticed after those circumstances have happened, like, oh, that didn't trigger me into shame anymore. It's just, it's really cool. It's like when you hurt your leg and you're walking around and you're limping, and then one day you realize like, oh, I'm not limping anymore. But you don't know the moment when you stop limping.
Yes.
You just realize it later on.
Yes, absolutely. Love that. So one last question before we, almost reach the end. So if today you would want our audience to remember just one thing from this conversation, what would you want that message to be, Melissa?
Your conscious mind decides where you want to go. It is the goal setter. Your subconscious mind decides if it feels safe enough to go there. So your subconscious is the goal getter. So if your subconscious is not on board, it will sabotage you. So I want you to remember, making change shouldn't be about hard work all the time. It shouldn't be constant effort and self-monitoring. When that is happening, it's time to look at the subconscious programs that are creating your current reality.
Got it. Awesome. And where can people connect with you and learn more about your work, Melissa?
Sure. So I'm on Instagram. I'm at It's Melissa Chapman. And I'm currently offering free 30-minute pattern breakthrough sessions. These are not sales calls. These are a gift to you. On the call, we're going to identify one outdated belief in your subconscious that's creating the pattern you want to break. You're going to learn why trying harder to change the pattern hasn't worked for you. And you'll get one simple shift that you can make to help break it. And unless you're interested in wanting to work together, again, this is just a gift. It's not a sales call. So DM me the word breakthrough on Instagram at It's Melissa Chapman for your free 30-minute session.
Love it. Thank you so much. And we are definitely going to leave all the links under the show notes. So with that, we're at the end of our interview for today. Melissa, thank you so much for joining us. It was amazing talking to you and understanding a lot more about both the subconscious patterns, the misunderstandings, if any, related to hypnosis. And of course, I'm hoping that after watching this and listening to our conversation, all those successful women who were doubting themselves and who were still questioning themselves, they should be able to at least get that awareness. And if they still need any help, they know where to connect with you and reach out to you. So with that, thank you so much once again for all of you tuning in today. This is Kusha signing off, and I will be back again with yet another amazing guest. Bye-bye.